Get this YouTube stream going here. Can you hear me okay on IG? Alright. We got some folks here on YouTube. Let me bring that audio in a little bit. Alright. Running my own ship here. Here we go. Alright, so here we go. Alright, so if you're watching here on YouTube, let me know how we're sounding. Looks like our stream's pretty strong. IG's good, thank you for that feedback. Looks like we got a couple people here in YouTube. If you're on YouTube, say what's up in the comments. Let me know who's here. So kind of another quick one here. The week kind of went by so quick. I was like, oh, it's Monday. And so really it's Memorial Day. So I kind of wanted to do something around that. And so we started thinking, I think we started this really around, making moves and whether that is, starting a project on your own, starting a company, making a move from a company, maybe climbing up in your company or, working towards a new position or something that might make you more fulfilled. And I always say that, some folks are already like, pretty satisfied with where they are. And I think that's great. And I think, with whatever position you have right now or whatever you're doing, then maybe the steps are to do that as full as you can and to find ways to do that as best as you can. So, with the pandemic and everything kind of leading up to where we are now and, returning back to the world kind of and getting back out, I know I've started to kind of get back out and people I've been talking to and FaceTiming and it seems it's been somewhat. Oh, here we go. Sorry guys, I came with the audio. I didn't transition into the. All right, we got the video in there now. Sorry YouTube, I was working in studio mode. So cool. Waiting for feedback on a client video. That's good news. Sounds like just one more approval and we'll be there. Sorry to my YouTubers. I was speaking with our title intro still going, so you really couldn't see it. Now we're here. So like I said, I'm gonna try to keep this one tight. We're already a few minutes in. And if I look pretty wrecked, it's because I've been working a lot, which is great. And a lot of things to do, a lot of moving parts. And that's been awesome. We had a shoot this last week. It went really well. Oh, YouTube is good. Thank you. We should be with our kind of main visual. Sorry about that. I think I spoke for the first 3 minutes with the intro video over us. I can always go in and what I'll do is after this, I'll go into YouTube and cut out kind of a bulk of the intro. You want to play that live intro to kind of, build a little bit of an audience and, or, just give people a minute. It also gives me a minute, to be honest. When I'm running the sticks on my own, it gives me a minute to press all the right buttons, turn all the right switches, turn the air conditioner off in the studio, which is a big deal. I actually started the live and realized I didn't do that, so I had to run over and go do that. But anyway, we're kind of back to the desktop setup, which honestly I like. I like being able to kind of quickly screen share and also, this setup's at my desk already for like Zoom calls and meetings with clients and stuff like that. So for me, it works out pretty well. So anyway, let's just jump right into it. So usually I try to do a topic, a current event, and then also like my gear of the week. And I have a unique story with the gear of the week. I had one last week, which was probably cooler than this week's, but we'll get right to it. So, as I kind of preface this with is, we started live streaming to talk about the work we're doing, to talk about how we kind of got in this position. And, there's a bit of a trend with that, but, we saw a bit of an opportunity and also had a little bit more time in the last few weeks with the pandemic. And I kind of saw this coming where I knew I'd start this and then we'd eventually get busy again, which I'm very grateful for. But now it's like, all right, we're very busy, at least in these last 2 weeks. And that's the way it goes as running a business. And, when you get the opportunity to jump on a job, you gotta kind of do it. And, luckily we've had those opportunities coming out of the pandemic. So if you're joining, if you click to the YouTube link, there's a link in our IG bio. Click on that and pull up the YouTube. I'm gonna do some screen sharing of a couple articles, and then also like I end these with gear of the week. So I'll kind of show you a unique piece of gear that I think is cool, and I kind of explain the function and like what we do with that. So anyway, with us coming out of the pandemic and kind of getting back to work, it's been there's obviously mixed reviews about getting back to work and what everybody thinks about that. But more or less what I wanted to talk about was, the opportunities. Maybe they're in between the lines a little bit, or you don't quite understand them or see them yet. But what I kind of wanted to talk about was, let's just look into who has had the hard times or seen recession or, but come out of it thriving. And I think that's maybe whether you're a business person or just a human being, just in general, for all of us, you want to think about coming out of it and like thriving and like, getting through it. Everybody's been affected in some aspect. Definitely people on different levels, right? But I think we can all maybe try to see the light and just see kind of what could be positive coming out of this. So take the headphones off my head. Everybody says my audio sounds good, so we'll jump right into it. So if you're on YouTube, you're going to be able to see these articles I'm going to talk about. And really, we'll just peruse through these articles. It was like, hey, let's look at, let's try to find at least one or two resources that says like, hey, here's a list of companies that started during hard times, right? And these articles in particular, like I said, if you're on YouTube, you can now see my screen. Let me know if you guys see that okay. Let me throw away this little screenshot of my desktop. Probably want to scale myself up here a little bit. Okay. So here's an article, and we'll just go through it and kind of see who this lists. I'll link these in. I think I might have already, but I'll link these in the YouTube information, and if you want to check these articles out, you can. This one's from Fox Business. Like I said, I'm totally random pulling these articles. This is really just to talk about, like potential. These are companies that we know and maybe use, but we know them as super huge companies right now. But, just like any other, project or company or business, it started with an individual with an idea and a service that was necessary. So I'll just kind of scroll to the meat of this. So in 2009, WhatsApp started. I always say WhatsApp, but WhatsApp started in 2009 coming out of the recession. That's a good example. I mean, that's worldwide, that speaks for itself. These companies kind of speak for themselves. I don't have to explain these companies because you're going to know them. So number 2 on this list is Venmo. I just Venmo'd a buddy, and, I use Venmo pretty regularly, moving money around. I think I pay my barber with Venmo. That's probably the most I use it, but, I've been out to lunch with someone and threw them a couple of bucks for lunch or whatever. But once again, another great company coming out of the recession in 2008. Another one is Groupon. I would say that we use Groupon pretty regularly. Finding discounts for different things, product discovery, let's see, what other info? So, okay, I like this little tidbit of info. Maybe I will share that. The point of this is just to share companies. That way we can be somewhat inspired, but you can come back and read the articles. Maybe I'll throw a little bit of numbers around. So like Groupon, for instance, the company is valued at $726 million. They're doing pretty good for starting in 2009 or 2008, coming out of a recession. And that kind of, just off the bat, like I said, I'm freestyling here, but, that's filled a need, right? And you're drawn to Groupon to find a discount on something maybe you want to do, or I know what we'll do sometimes is it kind of leads us to something that we didn't know about or we didn't know we wanted to do necessarily. So Groupon's a great example. 726 million. They're balling. And I'm pretty sure everybody in this feed on YouTube, I mean, use Groupon. So here's another one that's crushing right now is obviously Instagram. We're live on Instagram right now, but in 2010, coming out of the recession, it had just started, and kind of interesting tidbit on this article. Like I said, I'm not going to go too crazy into it. It has now more than 400 employees, according to its About page, and more than 120 million users. Facebook bought the app in 2012 for $1 billion. $1 billion. That is a lot of money. Another one here, Uber. Another one we use regularly. I mean, this list already, it's like I use all of these things. And most people I talk to in some capacity have used them as well. Uber is a good one. Honestly, I use Lyft a little bit more when I'm traveling. I don't know why. I think I tried to consolidate when I do my business expenses. I try to consolidate them as much as possible. There are times I'll do the ride share kind of option, but that never really does seem to work out for me. Anyway, Uber is valued at $47 billion. Wow, that is insane. Once again, be inspired. They came out of the recession, Somebody's out there, some of those early folks. I mean, I heard somebody I went to high school with was super early on this. Haven't talked to him since, but I'd be super curious to, maybe I'll get him on here. Anyway, Pinterest, 2010. Pinterest is crushing. The company is valued at $8.6 billion. And actually, let me look and see, when is this article? Oh, March 29th. So this is recent. Okay. I probably should have looked at that before I got into it. But I figured since it was a couple years old anyway, as far as the previous recession. So be inspired here. Another one, Slack. I mean, if you work with any agencies or, I don't know what other businesses in my experience with agencies, I use Slack to move information around between the folks in our company, and then also like contractors, when we're working on a project. This is just a great tool. And honestly, I really love it because you can channel things out. And what I love it as like a creator, making assets, it really shares assets really easily, and then it creates a comment thread on that asset. So if I share it within a bigger conversation, you can then bring over, maybe it's the edits on the asset, or an edit on the asset, or a discussion on the value of that that particular asset. You can have a thread specific for that. So Slack's a great one. Let's see their value. $15.9 billion. It's like they're making these numbers up. It's insane. But once again, started, 2009. And I will say, in 2009, I was just getting out of college. I had just graduated college. And I think I had the idea of what I'm doing now in my mind. Actually, I know I did. I was inspired by a buddy who had a similar small content company at the time. It was a video production company at the time. They weren't calling anything content. But I was inspired by that, and I got to work with him a little bit. And actually, I still get to work with him, and he still kind of inspires me by his work. But I knew I wanted something like that. And I always thought it would be like a video production company, which we are. But, it's more specific to content. And, I do see where we've been doing more commercial work lately, and that's pretty dope. But, content now. So this is 2009, and now they're looking at $15.9 billion. And the point of that is, in 10 years, like, no matter how old you are, I really do believe that. And, you hear people like, oh, the 10 things you got to do for blah, 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 the 5 things. And really, like, I try to steer away from that, because that is the way you get more viewership. But there's a level of authenticity that I feel is lost with some of those things, because then you're getting copy paste people. And I'm watching a lot of these videos, and not saying my experience is more valuable than anybody else's, but, I definitely want to be authentic. So it's like, you can grow something just based off of following, Google Trends and analytics, and brands got to do that. We help brands with that type of stuff all the time. But, as far as what I wanted to represent with our company and the type of work that I do, I don't want to lose that authenticity. I think that's what we bring to a production, And even with how I'm doing this and kind of the setup, just kind of get this done quickly, not blow it out too much, and just make it a conversational piece is, I like that type of stuff. I like podcasts and stuff like that. And I also like the tutorials. I do like the list of 5 things that'll make me a better editor, or the 10 things that'll change your life in a day, or whatever those things are, and I think this kind of meets it a little bit halfway, where I'll show specifics, but, we'll also be able to have a conversation. So, as we kind of keep going, and like I said, I know I've been promising guests for a few weeks, but now that people are getting back to normal life, that will be much more feasible. And I'd like to have more in-studio type conversations, so you get kind of the vibe of both me and the guest. So with that being said, let's just kind of keep moving. So Square, the Square app is awesome. 2009 that came about. And I think this really filled the need too for small businesses. A few examples, I see these, really in all my traveling at coffee shops. I end up in coffee shops all the time, working, editing. Usually our jobs are pretty quick turnover. I'm trying to get a look to the client really quickly. So, so generally I see these at coffee shops, small businesses. I think even last year when I bought fireworks for 4th of July, the fireworks booth was using one of these. But you see these everywhere. And now I think they're even incorporating into like bigger businesses. And but anyway, the Square is currently valued at more than $23 billion. Like I said, that sounds made up, but who knows? This was 11 years ago. I think a lot can change in 10 years if you get the ball rolling in the direction that you think. And, just talking to a buddy yesterday and kind of showing him some ideas on the internet, how he could capitalize on his skill and like make money, is, he has a very high level professional skill in an industry, right? And he makes money doing that and works full time doing that. But he's hesitant, like he does the YouTube thing a little bit. But there's other options like Fiverr.com, Patreon, stuff like that, where you can, kind of monetize your skills and put yourself out there for what your skill set is. And a lot of times, in my experiences, design and music production, video, animation. And I say music production in the sense that we purchase a lot of music. So I can tell you as like, a buyer what I'm looking for. And that's kind of how I broke it down for him. So anyway, just kind of hearing him speak, he's hesitant to go full boat and like really throw it out there, because I think he knows what he could do and that it will take more time to do that. And I'm seeing the overall theme as far as, for people who become successful, is that they just got the ball rolling and they weren't afraid to kind of appear at not necessarily a lower level, but like, this stream, for instance, obviously we got like a nice studio. I have amazing gear, but when I sit down right now, I'm just shooting it from my computer. Well, we've been on a shoot the last week and I've been editing a ton. I'm waiting for feedback right now, so I might have to cut this short if the video I cut is not approved, but fingers crossed it will be. But the point being is that I do have a bigger vision for this. We're 10 episodes in now. I've mentioned, you've seen some graphics, you've seen some pick and pick stuff, but you haven't seen the whole thing come together yet because, well, I'm working on it. And I'm also, like, I always prioritize client work. And I told myself, going into this, that this would be a part of that. Like, it would be a big deal, but I still keep my client work here. And then, this is showcasing work and ideas and having a conversation with people. So, this comes next. But I told myself I would do it no matter what. So in this instance, it's just better to shoot from my desktop. All my gear's packed up. I don't want to tear it down because I think we might get like a rush job here in a minute. I'm kind of waiting to hear about that. So we might have to kind of hustle over and get to production. So, so, you can maybe see this evolve if you're a regular viewer. So, the point being, be encouraged that even though you don't feel like it's where you think it can be, well, start building it. And people want to see that a little bit, Oh, I'm getting a call here. That's probably, sorry about the live video. Somebody's calling me. It's probably my truck. It's done with the oil change. Is my stream okay on IG? Let's see. All right, sorry about that, Instagram. Okay, we're back. Okay. If you're on IG, let me know. So let's move on. So if you're on YouTube, you can see these. You can see what we're talking about. Let me just refresh this, see if anybody's in the stream here. Okay, cool. We got a couple of people watching. Okay, so let's move on. So point of that statement about is just get the ball rolling, make one step, and even, I just got a full rebranding for our company, and I'll handle all that, putting it up on the website and this and that. Some people can see on IG. I've had a few people point that out with the new logo. But if I don't take that step to put that logo up in between the time that I'm already working and I don't continue on the client work, none of this matters. So Cloudera, I'm not really familiar with this company. So let's on to the next company, Cloudera, 2008. I'll just spend a few more minutes on this. I think everybody's kind of getting the gist. So that was kind of those main companies. And then here's another article by the Startup. 13 massive companies that started during a recession. General Electric started year it launched, 1892. It's worth now $95.2 billion. Or that was the revenue. And wow, I was going to say that seemed kind of low for them. But 2019 revenue, $95.2 billion. Here's another example. General Motors launched in 1908. $137.2 billion in 2019. IBM in 1911. So business machines right in the middle of a long 2-year panic. So Disney launched in 1929. You already know they're crushing it. HP, crushing. Hyatt, crushing. One of my favorites on this list, Trader Joe's. 2019 revenue, $13.3 billion, which, hey, good for them. They got great product, and they run a tight ship, FedEx in 1971, Microsoft in 1975. They made $125.8 billion in 2019. Electronic Arts, $4.5 billion in 2019. And honorable mentions in this article, Salesforce, Google, and Facebook. I'll link these if I didn't already in the info on YouTube. But, point being from this is look at these major businesses. They started with an idea, they started with the need, and they came out of a recession, and I'd say for people personally too, businesses come out of, not always, not always just like a recession, but even I think mentally for people. I know for me, when I started this business and, taking the leap of faith to go out on my own, it was somewhat calculated, but really I just knew it was kind of time and I needed it, and it was more for me. And honestly, if you understood that time in my life, it was just a crazy time to jump. I hadn't really prepared anything. I just kind of went for it. And, sometimes putting yourself on the spot, I think you might surprise yourself a little bit. At least I know I did. It opened up more time for me to get, skills, to get better, to become, not only a better editor, but a better businessman. I'm still learning all these things. I don't know everything. Every new project is different. Every new opportunity has new challenges. Even in this instance, you might hear my voice. I'm pretty wore out. But, I'm inspired still. I'm tired, but I'm inspired. And, I think the more I've put myself out there and the more I've taken on projects that were more challenging, the more I've learned about myself and the more I've just learned in general. So, remembering to grow as a person and grow as a business person and, a family man, a friend, cherishing relationships, whether they're, business relationships, but also personal relationships. And I realized that, now I've allowed myself time to not only become great at this craft, which, I hope that's what I'm working towards. And I think I am, because I'm putting my mind to it every day, but also, becoming great at those other things, those personal things, great friend, great family member, keeping my priorities straight, focusing on the right things. And I think the more you work on really digging into like the right things, the more I do, this is just me talking to myself really, the more I find, that I'm digging into the right focuses and the right things and chipping away at the things that need to be done, the next day becomes, oh, okay, that feeling of accomplishment is so amazing. And you could be stirred up trying to figure out what it is I need to be doing, and some of that could be what you're doing already. You just haven't given it the credit yet. Maybe it's just like, hey, what am I supposed to be doing? Well, right now, take care of everything in your hands. Take care of everything you can touch. And that's when I reel back and I start feeling kind of anxious or something about the business or work or family or whatever. It's like, right, in this moment, what can I do? What am I touching? What can I reach out in my arm's length and see that I can make better? And so, these people start in a recession, but maybe in your mind you're in a recession. Maybe you feel a little just, you can be depressed sometimes or think about yourself in a way that doesn't allow room for you to grow and to become successful. So whatever that thing is at your hands right now, do it as well as you can. Reach out to maybe something that you're interested or curious on. Start understanding the steps to take and just take a step. And, this isn't the 5 ways to become successful. Like I said, this is just me thinking about it and sharing my experience. And you know what? I'm going to keep having to do that. And that's what keeps me going is it's not the last job I did. I'm only as good as the last one I just did. So whatever this next one is, I got to do it as great, if not better than the last one. And the more you kind of, you see that kind of build and you get this project done and then move to the next one. Oh, what's up, Travis? The more you work hard and you keep trying to make those steps. These businesses that I just talked about came out of a recession. You could be maybe in that, just in your headspace. And it's easy. Like, the world's crazy right now. It's easy to feel small. But, if what you're doing is big to you, then you don't have to feel small. And that's what you got to do is, prioritize. I'm not preaching here. I'm just talking to myself. I got to do what I got to do is prioritize my time, prioritize my focus, and, make your top 3s, make your top 5s. These are the things that matter to me. I've done that. Like, these are the things that matter to me. And I made that decision, a long time ago, but sometimes it's easy to lose focus. And, you got to embed certain things into your mind and into your heart. Like, these are the things that matter. And that's where, and then what you find is you start, what I found is I start, stripping myself of like relationships that don't matter. And you know what? They were just even things that, friends or anything. Well, I just fell off my personal social media. So, I wasn't watching old Willie from high school raise his kids. I got my own kids to raise. I got my own shit to do. So it's like, don't get caught up in what everybody else is thinking or that pressure of seeing somebody else doing what you think you want to do and feeling like, oh, they're so far ahead of me. Make that step. Who knows? Maybe you have those skills and you have that personality to go way beyond what that person that you think is doing it is. And you might find that that's the truth, but find that for you, and I'm still going to keep digging and finding it for me. So anyway, that's kind of like the main idea of that. So like the current events, I like to do a little current event thing here. Obviously we all know what the current event is, and it's freaking coming out of a pandemic. And if you're not aware of that, we just went through a pandemic, everybody. We're going through it right now. But we just went through a quarantine, right? And so there's a lot of mixed views and whatever. I'm not preaching. I'm just talking about my experience and just kind of what I'm seeing. We got to be able to go out and shoot. Luckily, I with the production we did on set, I got to work for a client who had tested all of their employees. So I knew everybody on site was COVID free. And that felt good. We were all masked up. We were following the protocol that was asked of us. And, doing what we need to do to get the job done. And, I'm one approval away from that video going live. And maybe next Monday, I'll cross my T's and make sure everybody's cool with it, but I'll share the video and show the spot where it goes live. but I know I said this in the past, and I'm very hesitant to show client work. Sometimes I see other creators, and I'll show some on the gram. I mean, if you look at the gram, you'll see what's up. You'll see some stuff, but we really don't share a bulk of what we do, just out of like really just respect, and to protect the nature of the work and protect the client and everything. We really, that is always priority. And so whatever stream or whatever I got to do, I mean, if you are curious about the work and you want to hit me up and you want to see some stuff, I will love to sit down and show you. We could Zoom. I'll show you some stuff. If you're interested or need some stuff done, video, photo, animation, design, hit me up. I really think now we've rebranded. We're going to start showcasing really quite a bit more things. Because I don't feel like our internet presence really matches the quality and level of the work that we're doing. But like I said when I started this, that's because the priority, and the priority is the client. And I'm grateful that keeps us so busy that these other things will follow. So but anyway, like right now, it's kind of a tricky time, right? Because the information, we can all agree we've been somewhat confused through this whole process. And now everything's so politicized, so you don't know what is the point, or you just can't tell if we're getting honest information, or if, just read the headlines. You can see how things are being manipulated to fit a narrative or whatever. You hear a lot of this. But the point being is, now that I'm kind of getting out, I just took my truck to get an oil change. Hopefully be heading out of town here in the next few days. But got the oil changed, and I didn't walk in with a mask. The shop guy did. He had one on. Woman followed behind me. Totally waited till I kind of like exited, and then she came in. I mean, that's just out of respect, right? Like, I'm gonna social distance from people, just really out of respect. Obviously I'm not looking to catch it. I'm pretty certain I don't have it because I've been quarantined, and the only work I've done around people who have been tested. So, it's a very, very, very minuscule chance that I would have it. And the reason I'm going into this is because I really do believe that you can be precautious and be wise and smart about what you're doing with the information we've been provided, which I think you need to take that with a grain of salt a little bit, but that you can also want to move forward with your life and want to get back to work. I mean, there's a need, and I've balanced that in my mind. Like, am I rushing back to work because, well, I need to feed my family? That's a really important thing. And I need my business to, I got people I got to pay. I got, we've had incredible momentum. I want to continue that. I'm trying to make something real here, and that can touch a lot of lives, and, so you got to balance it. And I think that with what we're seeing, look at the blue states and the red states, right? It's all politicized. Red states, you can get out and get moving. Blue states, they're closing in. So there's like this consistent theme that it's become a bipartisan thing where you have to, if you have conservative values, you have to be for getting out. If you're more on the liberal side of things, you have to stay in. And so, just seeing the text coming through, having the conversations with the people that I know or that come around me, or even being on a gig, I've seen that kind of, I hate to use the word regurgitated because it feels like it's like, but like it's what I've seen on the media has been regurgitated in social settings. So all I'm saying is, and this, since we do a current event segment, is it's not who's right, it's what's right. So everybody kind of has a nature of wanting to be right, but let's not put over wanting to be right over what is actually right. And I think that's something to remember, because it does feel like, I mean, you have the liberty to wear a mask or not in most situations right now. And the mask thing's a big thing, right? We had, our experts told us a few weeks ago there's no reason to wear a mask. Then it was wear a mask if you're sick. Then it was optional mask coming out. And now it's you should wear a mask, but you kind of don't have to. But we also don't have the information to support why you should or why you shouldn't. And then, I've been lucky enough to actually talk to some experts, being on the gigs I've been on that are actually in touch with the White House. And, even from the, just overhearing these conversations, it doesn't seem like they came to just a direct conclusion on what the right thing is there. And so it became, well, let's wear masks just in case. And then you can find a study right now that talks about it becomes problematic because you touch your face. But the point being is, we all have a duty to do the right thing for ourselves, for our families, and for our communities and the people around us. And I've seen a lot more angry, kind of hateful, jabby kind of with people in public calling people out for not wearing a mask. And it's just been kind of intense, that. And it's not everyone, and it's not so common, but I've seen it. And it's just scary because their angle and just some of the angle that we've heard in the media and stuff like that, it's almost from they're setting you up for a I told you so minute or moment. And it's like, for a while there, we couldn't even talk about the fact that the quarantine maybe went too long, or I say we, but people. I'm just, not taking a partisan here. I'm literally just talking about my experience so far. But, I had a friend talking about, wanting to get out and being like, I don't understand. I live in the Midwest. Like, why can I not run my business? They had, in the city they lived in, there was 0 death rate. And this blanket kind of thing over the top of the country doesn't really add up depending where you live. So for me, the point being is, let's try to figure out, what is right, not who is right. At the end of the day, it's not going to matter who is right. It's just going to matter what was actually right. And so, you could go find a confirmation bias kind of article to anything you want to find right now. But I do think that, you can be both. You can go out and be safe and be precautious, be wise, social distance, do the things that they say to do, and also be free. I think that you can do both, and that we don't need to keep feeling like we're so having to be butting heads over kind of continuously changing, ever evolving information. And if, you're someone there right now that's like super free bird and you're just doing whatever you want, maybe look at what the other side's saying and take some of that. And maybe if you're on the other side and you're scared and you trap yourself in your home wearing a mask and gloves, sitting by yourself on your couch, maybe look at the numbers in states that have opened up, and or look at people going out and about, and maybe there's somewhere in between, is all I want to say with that current event. Okay, let's move on. So I'm already like 45 minutes in, but I like to do this kind of gear of the week kind of thing. And the reason, because I just had a great personal experience with this piece of gear. So I'm going to screen share again if you're on YouTube. This is an awesome piece of gear. Usually I label gear as either beginner, intermediate, or more expert level. This is for everyone. This is for even somebody who just needs a great bag. So this is the Peak Design Everyday Messenger bag. I have a lot of Peak products, and man, they're just well made. I have carried... This is actually the second version. I have I think it's the 15 liter. This one's the 13. So I don't know if they, on their site, they actually have, here's the Everyday Messengers. Like I said, if you're on IG, you could click the link to the YouTube. We're live on YouTube right now too. Anyway, what drives me nuts is I wanted this black bag, but I got this, let me just show you. So here's that bag. If you're on YouTube, you can see it. So this confirms that I actually own this piece of equipment. It is a pretty great bag. I literally just walked 3.5 miles with this over my shoulder, and it was awesome. I had a laptop in there, a water, a mask, a pair of gloves, hand sanitizer. But what I love about it is, if you're, like I said, if you're on YouTube, you can kind of see some of these visuals. This was me walking. That's me right there. Let's just go to where we can buy it. Oh, we don't want to watch the vid. Anyway, it has these dividers, so it can work as a camera bag. That's why I love it. I mean, I've traveled all over the world with this bag at this point. I got it kind of early in starting the company and starting like my traveling and shooting kind of experiences. And what I love about it is usually I land in a city, I got a big camera bag, I got my rollie, and I have this on my side. This will fit. You know, you can fly with it. It'll could be your carry-on, the one that you slide under. You know, your extra bag that you can slide under the seat in front of you. So they built it to fit that, but I love it because it fits a laptop, and then, you know, it has dividers for like camera stuff. So usually I'll use it as like my laptop camera bag, a couple drives in there, mouse, some cords, and then, you know, it doubles as a camera bag. So I could throw a camera in there, I could throw lenses in there. It's waterproof. I think proof, or if not resistant. I will tell you, I walked through New York City with this bag in the pouring rain, and none of my camera equipment got wet. So it's actually been, you know, through the water, you know, kind of through the ringer there. Oh, here's some visuals. So if you're on IG, this is a great example of how this bag lays out. It shows like an X-ray version of this bag. I mean, it's just a great bag. Peak Design makes great stuff. They were like a startup company, but I mean, I have a smaller version of this bag I'll talk about later, but this 15 liter I got is awesome. It fits my 15-inch MacBook Pro, plus what you can see in the image on YouTube. You know, a camera, you know, and so the price point's $220 on this bag. And like I said, I don't think, you know, if you're a beginner, I mean, if you're just a human person who wants a great sling bag, this is awesome. I just had to take my truck to get an oil change, and I had to walk 3.5 miles home. I did it in an hour, and I had this bag over my shoulder with, like I said, a laptop and a variety of things. And it didn't make me absolutely crazy. So, and I just feel my stuff with Peak Design is like safe in the bag. It's somewhat padded. The dividers are padded, and like I said, they just make great quality products, and they're thoughtful to like creators, videographers, designers. And they look sharp. I mean, honestly, I don't care what stuff looks like on me anymore as long as it's functional. You got to have a little bit of style, I guess, but you know, really, as long as it works. And I've been carrying this bag now for 2 years. And the other thing I will say is that after about a year and a half, because I have my big laptop in there, I zip and unzip it, and the zipper is the most commonly used zipper I got, and it makes sense. I totally wore it out because I use it all the time. I hit up Peak Design. I said, hey, the zipper broke. You know, I'm trying to get it. You know, I got to go to Miami. It was right before a Miami trip, and I was like, I'm leaving town. Can I get this back in a week? And they didn't have any in stock, but they were very in touch with me and like super cool about trying to get me the bag as quick as they could. And honestly, it just seemed like really good people, and that's who I'm trying to work with is cool people. Like, you know, there's a feeling you have when you've worked with somebody that just like actually cared and wanted to take care of you. I mean, I feel like we, in a sense, are the same way. It's like, you know, you can get a great video, yeah, you know, but how you had to feel the whole time to like receive that video, or the way you make somebody feel on set, or when they want changes, or they just don't even like where we started or the direction it's going, you know, you got to be flexible and cool. And I feel like Peak Design was like that cool to me. So I would, at this point, you know, always recommend them if you have a product that you're interested in. But like I said, we use this bag. Let me show you one other little bag that we use. So the Messenger, is it a tote or a sling? I think it's a tote. Or no, it's the sling. I'm sorry. So I also have this sling that I think is a great bag, and it's not something I think I will show. But when I got a Canon EOS R, and I was doing trips, same thing with the drone. I just need a camera and a lens, maybe throw a phone cord and a external battery. And this is another great bag. This price point's $150. Like I said, I don't put a expert, beginner, or intermediate or anything like that on it. It's just, if you're going to be carrying a camera around or electronics, these are just great, well-made bags. And with the dividers, you can sort through things. It's got like this little pocket for memory cards or pens, pencils, depending on your carry. For me, it's memory cards and batteries. And then in the actual sling, it's a camera and a lens. So cool. Well, I'm not going to go too much more into that. That was kind of our gear of the week. Let me throw my headphones on here, see how we're sounding. IG folks, thanks for tuning in. I saw we had a couple extra people that, I haven't seen on the stream. So thank you guys. I appreciate that. Throw us a follow or something if you want to check out some stuff moving forward. Let me bring in a little outro music here on YouTube. Alrighty. Okay. So IG, thanks for watching. We'll be live every Monday. So far, I've stuck to it, and I've done it every week. Really, no matter what the instance was, how busy we were, stuff like that. If you're on YouTube, thanks for tuning in. I'm gonna shut this IG off, and then I'll go to YouTube. But if you're on IG, check out our YouTube. It's in the link in the bio. Throw us a sub if you can. Check out our website, www.madegoodco.com. We've rebranded. We have somebody working on the site. Like I said, everything's coming together, and it takes one thing at a time. Focus on your client work, focus on the things that are going to get you paid and keep things moving, and then work on those other things as well. So thanks IG. We'll talk to you in a bit. All right, we're still on YouTube though. So see, it's kind of fun sometimes when I can just focus on YouTube. So YouTube, thanks for listening and watching. Consider subscribing if you aren't already. You could check out our Instagram. We're Made Good Company on Instagram. We're madegoodco.com for our website. But we'll keep posting stuff like this. We just finished a client video. Maybe I'll share that once it goes live tomorrow. But yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in. I really enjoy making content. I enjoy doing these streams, creating videos. Really it's awesome. It's awesome to be able to do what I'm doing every day, and I'm just super grateful. So I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll catch you next week.